ॐ अज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवाञ्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथन्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर सदि गौर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम 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 हरे हरे श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। So we'll start with the third verse. आसूर्यानाम ते लोका अन्धेन तमसावृता तांस्ते प्रीत्याभिगच्छन्ति ये केचात्महनो जनः। The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planet known as the world for the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Purport: human life is distinguished from the animal life due to its heavy responsibilities. Those who are cognizant of these responsibilities and who are in that spirit are called suras, godly persons. And those who are neglectful of these responsibilities or who have no information of them are called asuras. Throughout the universe, there are only these two types of human beings. In the Rigveda, it is stated that the suras always aim at the lotus feet of Supreme Lord, Vishnu, and act accordingly. Their ways are as illuminated as the path of sun. So this particular mantra, it speaks about the people who never takes the shelter of their lordship. And they are called here as a killer of the soul. And their destination, where they will go, that has explained here. In the first para of the purport, Prabhupada says that there are two kinds of living entities. Sura, Asura, Evacha. So Suras are godly persons, and those who are neglectful of the human responsibilities. We have no information about the God centered principle. They are called as asuras. Then further Prabhupada says, intelligent human beings must always remember that the soul obtains a human form after an evolution of a many millions of years in the cycle of transmigration. The material world is sometimes compared to an ocean, and the human body is compared to a solid boat designed especially to cross the ocean. The Vedic scriptures and the acharyas, or saintly teachers, are compared to expert boatmen, and facilities of a human body are compared to a favorable breeze that help the boat ply smoothly to its desired destination. If, with all these facilities, a human being does not fully utilize his life for self realization, he must be considered an Atmaha, a killer of the soul. Sri Ishopanishad warns in a clear terms that the killer of the soul is destined to enter into the darkest region of ignorance to suffer perpetually. Actually, this verse comes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, where it is explained that Naradeha Adyam Sulabham Sudurlabham. This human form of a body is very real. And it's just like a boat. To sell the soul from this ocean of material existence. And Guru Karanadhara, the spiritual master or authorized representative of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead, is like a seller who help us to cross this ocean of material existence. And the facilitated provided by this body are considered as a breach. Because karmana daiva netrena jantur deha prapadyate. As per the karma that we have done in the previous life, we are destined to get those sort of a result of our karmic creation that what we have done in the previous life. They may create facility in spiritual life, or they may create obstacle in spiritual life. So if it is favorable, whatever karma that we have done, or if we have done enough of pious activities so that we can get the association of devotees, that association of devotees is considered as a breeze, a favorable breeze that can sell that boat. So further it says, there are swine, dogs, camels, asses, etc., whose economic necessities are just as important to them as ours. As ours are to us. But the economic problem of these animals are solved only under the nasty and unpleasant conditions. The human being is given all facilities for a comfortable life by the laws of nature because the human form of a life is more important and valuable than animal life. Why is man given a better life than that of a swine and other animals? Why is a highly placed government servant given better facilities than those of an ordinary clerk? The answer is that highly placed officer has to discharge duties of a higher nature. Similarly, the duties of human beings have to be performed are higher than those of animals, who are always engaged in simply feeding their hungry stomach. Yet, the modern soul-killing civilization has only increased the problem of the hungry stomach. When we approach a polished animal in a form of a modern civilized man and ask him to take interest in self-realization, he will say that he simply wants to work to satisfy his stomach and that there is no need of self-realization for a hungry man. The laws of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self realization and his eagerness to work hard to fill his stomach, he is always threatened by unemployment. So, what is that? That's what's going on right now, actually. all over the places people are having this problem because of the bodily concept of life, and they are not interested in a spiritual life, because just to fill this belly is not the sole purpose of human form of a life. That can be done in any species of life, and they don't have to work so hard. But particularly in this human form of a life, which is meant for a higher purpose and higher principles, has given a higher facilities in this particular life so that we can work on those higher principles of life. And that the highest principle of life is self-realization, to know ourselves, what we are, and work accordingly. But people with the animal propensities and with the animal consciousness, they don't realize it, and they give more importance to empty stomach rather than the sufferings in this world. And that's why Prabhupada says that the laws of nature are so cruel, however, that despite his denunciation of the need for self-realization and his eagerness to work hard to fill the stomach, he is always threatened by the unemployment. So if you more concentrate on solving the material problems, they will be more rather than getting reduced. Because unless and until the real purpose of human form of a life is not understood, then whatever solution you try to figure it out to get happy in this world will be useless. Then further Prabhupada says that we are given this human form of a life not to work hard like asses, swine, and dogs, but to attain the highest perfection of life. If we do not care for self-realization, the laws of nature force us to work very hard. Even though we may not want to do so, human beings in this age have been forced to work hard like the asses and bullocks that pull carts. Some of the regions where the asuras are sent to work are revealed in these verses of Sri Ishopanishad. In this verse of Sri Ishopanishad, if a man fails to discharge his duties as a human being, he is forced to transmigrate to the Asurya planet and take birth in degraded species of life to work hard in ignorance and darkness. So the person who is not interested in a self-realization, he is forced by the material nature to put into Asurya Namate Loka, where he has to work hard in ignorance and in darkness. In the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter, text number 41 to 43, it is stated that a man who enters upon the path of self-realization but does not complete the process despite having sincerely tried to realize his relationship with God is given a chance to appear in a family of Shuchi or Srimata. Which verse is that? Hmm? Anyone? Prapya punya kritam lokan ushitva shashwati samaha shuchinam shrimatam gehe yogo bhrashtobi jayate. So that's the verse which explains that a person who is not able to finish his spiritual activities in this lifetime has given a chance to next lifetime by giving him birth in some aristocratic and scholarly families, so that he does not have to bother for filling this belly, because most of the people, they are running from pillar to post to fill up their belly. But the person who is not able to complete the process despite having sincerely tried to realize the relationship with the God, is given chance to appear in a family of Shuchinam and Srimata. So here Prabhupada says Shuchinam means a spiritually advanced Brahmana, and Srimata indicates the Vaishya, a member of a mercantile community. So the person who fails to achieve self-realization is given a better chance in this next life due to his sincere effort in this life. If even a fallen candidate is given a chance to take birth in a respectable and noble family, one can hardly imagine the status of one who has achieved success. By simply attempting to realize God, one is guaranteed birth in a wealthy and aristocratic family. But those who do not even make an attempt, who want to be covered by illusion, who are too materialistic and too attached to material enjoyment, must enter into the darkest region of hell. As confirmed throughout the Vedic literature, such a materialistic asuras sometimes make a show of a religion, but their ultimate aim is material prosperity. The Bhagavad Gita, chapter 16, text number 17 to 18, rebukes such a main by calling them Atma Sambhavita, meaning that they are considered great only on the strength of deception and are empowered by the oaths of the ignorant and by their own material wealth. Such asuras devoid of self-realization and knowledge of Ishavasya, the Lord of universe, universal proprietorship, are certain to enter into the darkest regions. The conclusion is that as a human being, we are meant not simply for solving economic problems on the tottering platform, but for solving all the problems of the material life into which we have been placed by the laws of nature. So Prabhupada, he speaks about the person Atmaha, and he calls the present civilization is Atmaha only, the killer of soul. Because in the modern society, people are more on the bodily platform of life. And actually, in the present age of Akali, as Srimad Bhagavatam says, the real Purushartha they will consider that Kutumba Bharaneinava, just to fill the belly of their family, that they will consider as the greatest goal of a life. And people will be much more bothered with that particular thing. But that's not the real goal of a life. And that's why Prabhupada says that one should really work hard upon how to progress in spiritual life. Like in one of the songs, Narottam Das Thakur says, Hari Hari Bifale Janama Gonai. Manushya Janama Paiya Radha Krishna Na Bhajiya Janiya Shuniya Beshakhai. It's like a committing suicide if you don't take Krishna consciousness. If you don't try to establish your relationship with the Lord, then it's like drinking a poison. Janiya Shuniya Beshakhai. And somehow or other we do that, because we don't have that much strong faith in their lordship and his control over everything. We think that we are the one who are in control, and because of that we ourselves wants to figure out the problems, the solutions of our problems. But the real solution of our problem is to take up a Krishna consciousness and to work on a science of self-realization, because that's the real purpose of human form of a life. Otherwise, asurya namate loka andhena tamasavrata. If you forget what has explained in the previous verse, that if you don't work with the consciousness of Ishavasya, then definitely you are creating karma bandhana. And that karma bandhana will take you to where? The darkest region of a life. That means the animal life, or we may fall down from our higher status of consciousness from the human form of a life to animal form of a life. Any question about this?
So darkest form, darkest regions are not like Patala or lower planetary systems
See,
in
Asurya
this.
se loka tamasina andavrata. If it is covered by the ignorance, hells are considered that only because there is the darkest, that's the darkest region of the 14th planetary system. But here, what Prabhupada has said, the darkest region of planet is nothing but ignorance about the self-realization. People are suffering here also, like a hell, who works in the mines, especially with the coal mines. They are already in hell. Nothing separate for them, you know. The darkest region of life is hell also, and hell that we create because of lack of knowledge. That same thing also. Okay. So the first verse of Ishopanishad that explains about the what is Ishavasya, how everything is controlled and how everything is owned by the Lord. And someone who has this consciousness can get rid of karma bandhana. That has explained in the second one. Third one explains that if someone does not follow it, then his destination is the darkest region of a planet. Then the fourth one explains about where we can see their lordship. What is his nature? The fourth verse goes, Anejadekam manaso javiyo nainat e deva apnuvat prapnuvan akarshat. Tadhavato anya atyeti tishtan tasmin apo matarishvat dadati. Although fixed in his abode, the personality of a godhead is swifter than the mind and can overcome all other runnings. The powerful demigods cannot approach him, although in one place he controls those who supply the air and rain. He surpasses all in excellence. In the Purport, Prabhupada says, through mental speculation, even the greatest philosopher cannot know the Supreme Lord, who is absolute personality of a Godhead. He can be known only by his devotees through his mercy. In Brahma Samhita, it said, Panthastu koti shatavatsara sampragamyo vayo rathapi manaso munipungavana. So api asti yad prapada vichintya tatve govindam adi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves as a pranayam by drilling the respiration, or by jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of mundane, extending over the thousands of years. It is stated that even if a non-devotee philosopher travels through the space at the speed of the wind or the mind for hundreds of millions of years, he will still find that the absolute truth is far, far away from him. The Brahmi Samhita, chapter 5, text number 37 further describes Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavistabhiryayev Nijarupataya Kalavi Goloka Yeva Nivasati Akhilatma Bhuto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord residing in his own realm, Golok, with Radha resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of an ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities. In the company of her confidence, embodiments of the extension of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful rasa. Further describes that the absolute personality of a Godhead has his transcendental abode known as a Goloka, where he remains and engages in his pastimes. Yet, by his inconceivable potencies, he can simultaneously reach every part of his creative energy. In the Vishnu Puran, his potencies are compared to the heat and light that emanate from a fire. Although situated in one place, a fire can distribute its light and heat for some distance. Similarly, the absolute personality of a Godhead, although fixed in his transcendental abode, can diffuse his different energies everywhere. Although his energies are innumerable, they can be divided into three principal categories: the internal potency, the marginal potency, and the external potency. Antaranga, Bahiranga, and Tatastha. There are hundreds and millions of subheadings to each of these categories. The dominating demigods, who are empowered to control and administer such a natural phenomena as the air, light, and rain, are all classified within the marginal potency of the absolute person. Lesser living beings, including humans, also belong to the Lord's marginal potency. The material world is creation of external potency, and the spiritual sky, where the kingdom of God is situated, is the manifestation of his internal potency. Thus, the different energies of the Lord are present everywhere. Although the Lord and his energies are non different, one should not mistake these energies of supreme truth. Nor should one wrongly consider that the Supreme Lord is distributed everywhere impersonally, or that he loses his personal existence. Men are accustomed to reaching conclusions according to their capacities for understanding, but the Supreme Lord is not a subject to our limited capacities for understanding. It is for his personal reason that the Upanishads warn us that no one can approach the Lord by his own limited potencies.